Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all the honor, glory, and praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, HaKadosh. Double honors and respect to the elders and to the apostles of the great millstone. Peace and blessing to all Akim that are preaching and teaching this word with 100% truth and sincerity, and unto the men, women, and children that are listening and learning, and unto the Bayath, the Dawadah, the elect house of David that is scattered abroad. I give you my utmost and sincere salutations. Okay. This morning's lesson is, we're going to go into the word ruddy and what it really means. Okay, many think that ruddy just means red, and then they read that King David was described as ruddy, and then want to make him red as an Edomite, unless you go into the etymology of the words and see for yourself. You might be persuaded by common or man's opinions versus the truth of the matter. So let's get into it, okay? There's no scripture that says King David had red hair or red skin, as in like the white or so-called red man, which is Esau, Edom. That notion came from the misinterpretation of King David being described as ruddy in the scriptures, just as just red in modern day dictionaries. Okay, in the Zondervan's Bible Dictionary, ruddy is defined as a word used to refer to a red or fair complexion, in contrast to the dark skin of the Hebrew Israelites. So long story short, King David was a handsome, light-skinned or fair-complexioned Hebrew Israelite who still had melanin in color, just not dark-skinned. For reference, you can use Terrence Howard, Blake Griffin, or even the singer-rapper Drake, who are good examples of fair-skinned Hebrew Israelites. So you have to remember that the Israelites are all shades of the ground. Okay, this is going to be the book of Jeremiah, chapter 14, verse 2. It says, Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground, and the cry of Jerusalem is gone up. So black here in this one is, in the Hebrew, is quadar. And quadar meaning to be ashy, dark colored. Okay? Make darken. Okay, so quadar, to be dark, to be sod or potter. Quadar is to be dark or grow dark. In the verse, black unto the ground, it is not potter unto the ground or sod into the ground, but more dark unto as like the ground. The ground or the mud or the dirt of the earth varies from colors such as like black to tan, or even white sandy earth. So are the Hebrews. We range in color from light-skinned to dark-skinned, but the majority were dark, as in Job 30 and 30. My skin is black upon me, my bones are burnt with heat. Okay, the Hebrew word for black in that scripture is shakar. Okay, and it's to be dim or dark in color. Okay. This is Song of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 5. I am black, but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. So black is the Hebrew word. The word black there in that scripture is shakawara, meaning very black or very dark. So let's go here. And this is going to be verse 6, Song of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 6. It says, Look not upon me because I am black, because the sun hath looked upon me. My mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyards, but my own vineyard have I not kept. Okay, when you look at the term black there, in the Hebrew word is shakar ka'arath, meaning extremely black. Because when you're out in the sun, the sun makes you darker. All right, gives you that. Well, for lighter skinned people, it gives them more of a tan, but for us, people who are already dark, this makes them darker. Okay, and you could also look up the word swarthy. Swarthy means dark-skinned. King Solomon was King David's son, and he was described himself as jet black and dark-skinned. It is a well-known common fact that white people do not produce dark-skinned, jet black, or swarthy babies. This is Lamentation chapter 4, verse 8. Their visage is blacker than coal. They are not known in the streets. Their skin cleaveth to their bones. It is withered, it has become like a stick. Okay, visage here in Hebrew is ta'ar, meaning how they look. If the figure or appearance, beautiful, comely, countenance, fair, favored, form, goodly. Blacker in Hebrew is kashak, to be dark. All right, to be darkened. And coal in the Hebrew is shaka'awar. Shaka'awar. Excuse me. You know, like dinginess, perhaps soot, like coal, like darkest coal. You know, coal is very dark. Lamentations chapter 5, verse 10, it says, our skin was black like an oven because of the terrible famine. And black here in that scripture is kamar, to darken because of heat, like, you know, being out in the sun. Now, properly to heat, warm up, or to ripen, or to shrink, to wrinkle, dark, heavy cloud, to intertwine or contract. So be black, be kindled, or yearn. Okay, now those scriptures on one hand is how the Hebrew Israelites are described being dark. However, let us remember Jeremiah 14:2 said, we are black unto or like the ground. We have light sand or tan, light brown earth as well. So let's go to the dictionary. The Oxford's dictionary definition of ruddy. A person's face having a healthy red color, having reddish hair. Note the word healthy. Webster's dictionary definition of ruddy. It says red color, reddish, ruddy, and they were more ruddy in body than rubies, of a lively flesh color, or the color of the human skin in high health, as ruddy cheeks or lips. So ruddy, like duck, an American, let's see here. I'm gonna read this part. An American duck having a broad bill and a wedge-shaped tail composed of stiff, sharp feathers. The adult male is rich brownish red on the back sides, on the back, sides, and neck. Black on the top of the head, nape, wings, and tail, and white on the cheeks. The female and young male are dull brown mixed with blackish on the back, grayish below, called also dunbird, dun diver, ruddy diver, stiff tail, spine tail, so on and so forth. So, ruddy, the adjective for ruddy, inclined to a healthy reddish color, often associated with outdoor life, a ruddy complexion, a fresh and sanguine complexion. Notice the definition is referring to ruddy as healthy, brownish, lively, and fresh in complexion, which implies handsomeness or beauty. Now, if you Google red cows and click on images, you would see brown cows, not actual red cows. So ruddy should mean brownish. And, you know, so yeah, when you look up red cows, they're really brown. And heck, I got what they call one of my dogs is a red Doberman, but he don't really look red. He looks just brown, like like a light brown. So now, excuse me. Let's check out the definition of brown. And it says a dark color inclining to red or yellow, resulting from the mixture of red and black, or of red, black, and yellow, a tawny, dusky hue. So they describe brown as a dark color inclining to red or yellow. They call light-skinned Negroes as yellow or red bone. And now when you look at the Oxford Dictionary version, brown, of a color produced by mixing red, yellow, and black, as of dark wood or rich soil. An old brown coat, okay, dark-skinned or sun-tanned. So brown is made by mixing red, yellow, and black. and likened to rich soil of the earth, just like the scriptures from Jeremiah 14:2. Not to mention they also said suntanned like Songs of Solomon 1:6, because the sun hath looked upon me, meaning dark-skinned. In Genesis, the Most High explained how man was made and what he was made from. So this is going to be the book of Genesis chapter 2 verse 7. And the Lord Yahweh the power formed man, Adam, of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Man here is the Hebrew word Adam. The verse gives you the definition of Adam, of the dust of the ground. We are made from the ground, which ranges from light to dark tan, which is still brown to black of the earth. Adam, Ruddy, a human being. So let's remember here, Ruddy is of the earth, from the ground, and the ground ranges from dark dirt to tan dirt. Also, let's note that the word human for later exploration. So this is going to be 1 Samuel 16:12, and it says, and he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy, and withal of a beautiful countenance, and goodly to look to. And the Lord Yahweh said, arise, anoint him, for this is he. Adam Wanaya, reddish, red, ruddy. So the definition of ruddy should tell you King David was a healthy, blushing, youthful, light brown or fair-skinned, handsome man. He was light-skinned, he was good-looking, okay, and he had a healthy and lively look about him. Okay, Adam and Adamonaya are variations of the Hebrew word Adam, which has different variations of the word. Adam, to show blood, the flesh are turned rosy. They said flush and rosy, which also points to blushing, tender, youthful, healthy, or having health, fair, and handsome. Now in the blue letter, the word Adam is to be red or ruddy. Okay, to be fair, handsome. Ruddiness belonged to the description of a youthful beauty. Then see in this verse, the scriptures show and describe David as youthful and of fair, handsome countenance, describing him as ruddy. It's 1 Samuel 17:42. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was but a youth and ruddy and of a fair countenance. You know, so who should we believe, the scriptures or the white man's definition? Now, come on, now, we all know better not to believe. Excuse me. We all know better not to believe in Esau Edom's pseudoscience or his changing of the meaning of words. This is Song of Solomon, chapter 5, verse 10. It says, my beloved is white and ruddy, the chiefest among 10,000s. Okay, beloved here in the Hebrew is Dawad, David. From the unused root meaning properly to boil, to love, a love token, lover, friend, specific. Beloved, the word white here is not Laban, which means white in Hebrew, but Tazach. Tazach, meaning dazzling, sunny, bright. So the word white was put there, but should have been dazzling or even bright or sparkling. So David had a very dazzling appearance about him. Okay. Now we're going to go to the word Adawam, meaning rosy. Rosy is defined colored like a pink or red rose, typically as an indication of health, youth, or embarrassment, or promising or suggesting good fortune or happiness, hopeful. But rosy is resembling a rose in color. Former qualities: blooming, red, blushing, also adorned with roses. So are not roses beautiful and handsome, it means the verse is saying, my beloved David is dazzling and handsome, the best looking and chief amongst thousands of thousands. So, also here in Lamentations, the deeper mysteries must be digged out looking at the roots of the words. This is Lamentations 4 and 7. Her Nazarites were purer than snow. They were whiter than milk. They were more ruddy in body than rubies. Their polishing was of sapphire. So white here in the Hebrew is tazakwa. Okay, to be dazzling white, meaning to be light-skinned. This was referring to the men of the Lord being even purer and brighter or dazzling than snow and milk. Ruddy here is also Adam, but it's clearly referring to handsome or looking good in body and in worth, and worth than to rubies. Excuse me. Allergies. So you can go to let's see. You can go to the Hebrews Strong's. Strong's 6443. Panyanayam, which goes to ruby. And you can look up Hebrew Strong's 5601, which is sapphire, meaning a gem, probably the sapphire. So these people had an appearance that was just more appealing to the eye than an actual gem or ruby or sapphire. They had that lively, youthful, and godly countenance about them. And you can look up the it's the Strong's H1506 Gazara, or Gaza, or which means the figure of a person, also an enclosure, like polishing. Let's see. Okay, this is Lamentations 4 and 8. Their visage is blacker than a coal. They are not known in the streets. Their skin cleaveth to their bones. It is withered. It has become like a stick. So after describing the pureness and dazzling attributes of his elect men of the Most High, he then says their appearance is blacker than a coal. This lets you know that they are black, dark-skinned, and ruddy can't mean just red, but handsome, beautiful, and of the earth. So what they say is not complete or clear versus what the scriptures infer. Now, those scriptures are how the Hebrew Israelites are mostly described. They are described as all shades of the earth, from dark to light and handsome. Esau, on the other hand, is described as Genesis 25 and 25. And the first came out red, all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. And you can go to the Strong's, Hebrew Strong's 132. Adam Wanaya, reddish. Now, why did he say Adam Wanaya here, as in to King David? Well, because he was likewise handsome. However, they went a step further to liken his skin as red all over. His whole body, as you could see, the blood through all his skin, versus the usual darker complexion of the majority of the people on earth at that time. This is going to be the same book, Genesis 25, verse 30. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage. For I am faint, therefore was his name called Edom. And the Hebrew word for Edom is Adawam. Edom, the elder twin brother of Jacob, hence the region Idumea occupied by him. Now, Edom, Edomites, Idumea, the same. It's just Idumea is the Greek way of saying it. His skin was pinkish to reddish and lacked melanin. He was so red they called him red. Not only was he red, but he liked to eat red meat, which is rare meat. And we don't eat rare meat. We eat our meat all cooked all the way through. Well done. Now, the mark put on Cain was a physical mark that affected the appearance of him and his descendants. So when people looked upon him, they would know not to bother him and stay away from him. Okay, Genesis 4:15. And the Lord Yahweh said unto him, Therefore whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And Yahweh set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. Now you go to the Hebrew Strongs, Hebrews 2:26, a wath. So a signal as a flag, a beacon, a monument, an omen, a prodigy, evidence, or a mark, a sign, a token. A wath is a sign or mark, basically a physical appearing upon Cain that would warn people of him and his wicked nature. When the Hebrew Israelites would be wicked, the Most High also had another physical mark and sign to let people know that they were wicked, called leprosy. Okay? And modern day leprosy would be called vitiligo, which means that certain spots in your skin are lacking that melanin. But it's really the biblical leprosy. This is Leviticus chapter 13, verse 2. When a man shall have in the skin of his flesh a rising, a scab, or a bright spot, and it be in the skin of his flesh, like the plague of leprosy, then he shall be brought unto Aaron the priest, or unto one of his sons the priest. Bright spot in the Hebrew is the Hebrew word baharath, which a whitish spot in the skin, a bright spot. Baharath is a whitish spot on the usual dark black skin of the Hebrews, meaning whitish skin is a sign of leprosy. Leviticus 13:9. Leviticus chapter 13, verse 19. Salakia. And it says, And in the place of the boil there be a white rising, or a bright spot, white and somewhat reddish, and it be showed to the priest. Okay, now you can go in the Hebrew Strongs 38 and 30, Hebrews 3:8-6, Laban, meaning white. And you can go to Hebrews Strongs 9:3-4, Baharath, a white spot on the skin, a bright spot. And then Hebrew Strongs H125, Adam Damath, which means reddish or somewhat reddish. This is Leviticus 13:20. And if when the priest seeth it, behold, it be in sight lower than the skin, and the hair thereof be turned white, the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague of leprosy broken out of the boil. That is skin that is a white or whitish, white to whitish to reddish spot or blotch, which signaled the plague of leprosy was upon them. Verse 24. Or if there be any flesh of this in the skin, whereof there is a hot burning, and the quick flesh that burneth have a white bright spot, somewhat reddish or white. Verse 25, then the priest shall look upon it, and behold, if the hair if the hair in the bright spot be turned white, and it be in sight deeper than the skin, it is a leprosy broken out of the burning. Wherefore the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is the plague of leprosy. This is going to be verse 30. And the priest shall see the plague, and behold, if it be in sight deeper than the skin, and there be in it a yellow thin hair, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a dry skull, even a leprosy upon the hand or beard. You can go to the Hebrew Strongs, Hebrews Strongs 6669, Tazahab, golden in color, yellow, Dakwa, meaning small or thin, very little thing, small, thin. So yellow thin hair or blonde hair, what we call this blonde thin hair refers to a lack of curls, which is straight hair. We know the so-called Caucasian hair is blonde yellow. Definition of blonde, according to the Oxford Dictionary, a fair or pale yellow. Caucasians are the only people who have naturally blonde hair. Any other anomalies among other nations are referred as albino, which is still a leprous individual born without pigment, melanin, having reddish to whitish skin and blonde hair. Well, it does not take a rocket scientist to know whose skin looks somewhat white to reddish all over, making them a clean leper. So the so-called white people, they are clean lepers. They're born that way. This is Leviticus chapter 13, verse 9. And it says, when the plague of leprosy is in a man, then he shall be brought unto the priest, verse 10, and the priest shall see him, and behold, if the rising be white in the skin, and it have turned the hair white, and there be quick raw flesh, quick raw flesh in the rising, verse 11, it is an old leprosy in the skin of his flesh, and the priest shall pronounce him unclean, and shall not shut him up, for he is unclean. Verse 12, and if a leprosy break out abroad in the skin, and leprosy cover all the skin of him that hath the plague, from his head even to his foot, wheresoever the priest looketh, verse 13, then the priest shall consider, and behold, if the leprosy have covered all the flesh, he shall pronounce him clean that hath the plague. It is all turned white, he is clean. All right, notice how the scriptures say, if the leprosy, meaning the plague, hath covered all his flesh, meaning completely white, reddish, pronounce him clean that hath the plague. He still has the plague. So, the plague of leprosy is the mark on the Hebrew Israelites to tell who was wicked, which is like the mark of Cain. He is pronounced clean, meaning completely leprous, not clean as in pure and holy. Another scripture that shows white to reddish skin as the Caucasians are, and sometimes inflicted on us as a punishment and mark of bad behavior, is Numbers chapter 12, verse 10. And the cloud departed from the tabernacle, talking about a chariot, and behold, Miriam, who was Moses and Aaron's sister, became leprous, white as snow. And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. Okay, and the reason why the Lord turned her leprous is because she spoke out against her brother Moses for marrying a heathen woman who was an Ethiopian woman. Now, see, the thing is that Israelite men, they could have any woman they want, whether it be an Israelite woman or a heathen woman. It's just that Miriam should have just kept her mouth shut. This is Numbers chapter 12, verse 11. Oh, and now when you go into Tazariah, you know, it goes to that's the Hebrews 6:8-7-9, to be stricken with leprosy. And you can go to Hebrews Strong 7950, which is shalag, meaning snow or snowy. A scourge is a blow, wound, plague, and punishment inflicted on someone by the Lord for their wickedness. So this is Numbers chapter 12, verse 11. And Aaron said unto Moses, Alas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not the sin upon us wherein we have done foolishly, and wherein we have sinned. Verse 12, let it not be as one dead, of whom the flesh is half consumed when he cometh out of his mother's womb. Aaron referred to leprosy as someone who is as dead and half consumed from when they come out of his mother's womb. When Esau's Hebrew name Aishah comes from the Hebrew word Aishash, which means wasted away is he. The descendants of Esau are Aishah, and his people Edom, Adawam, are called Edomites, Adawamiam. So how does Ruddy get to be referred to as Edom and white man, or red man, or even red hair or reddish? The reason is because of the Hebrew word Adam, or Adam. More importantly, ultimately, it is of the so-called white man's manipulation of the definitions and interpretations of the scriptures to convolute who he really is and the truth of the matter. Okay? That's why, you know, you have to really go into the etymology of these words when you read these scriptures, because Esau, Edom, has messed with the Bible. Okay, he's done things to, you know, to trick the people. But ultimately, Yahweh Shema Shai had him do that to lay a stumbling block for those who aren't meant to get it. Okay, now, however, let us look at the word Adam. The word Adam is first used in Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, and it reads, "And the Most High said, Let us make man, Adam, in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth." So the word man here is the Hebrew word Adam, a human being. Okay. Here we should have it clear as Adam is from the earth or from the ground. Now, the word Adam can also be looked at as as a prefix is I, and dam means blood. Okay, so blood is that which when shed causes death, or a man or animal by analogy, this or that, but that means the blood is not human made of the blood, yes? Okay, hold on. So let's get the Hebrew Strong's 18:18. It says dam, and it says blood is that which when shed causes death, or of man or an animal by analogy the juice of a grape, figuratively, especially in the plural bloodshed, i.e. drops of blood, guiltiness, thirsty, innocent. So that means of the blood is not human made of the blood, yes. So Genesis 9:4. But flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. That is why we Hebrew Israelites do not eat bloody meat, because life is in the blood. Genesis 2:7. And the Lord Yahweh power formed man, Adam, of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Man here is also Adam, and the verse give you the definitions of Adam, of the dust of the ground. We are made from the ground, which ranges from light to dark tan, which is still brown to black of the earth. Also, we are made living through the blood as well. The word human is also used to describe Adam. The word human is broken down as hue, man, or man of hue, man of color. Hue meaning having color. So, let's see, a color or shade. So, let's see, its origin. The origin of the word human. From Old English of Germanic origin, related to Swedish by Swedish high skin, complexion, the sense, color, shade, dates back from the mid-19th century. So human means man of color, or person of color. The English word man in Hebrew is not Adam, it is Ayash. Okay? So, right here we have Genesis 2:24. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall become one flesh. The Hebrew Strong's 376, Ayash, a man as an individual or male person, often used as an adjunct to a more definite term, and in such cases are frequently not expressed in translation. So also another, any man, certain, champion, consent, husbandman, mighty man, he, him, husband, man, people, person, steward. So the Bible tells us that all men are not the same, and we're not all the same. Psalms 9:19, arise, O Lord Yahweh, let not man prevail, let the heathen be judged in thy sight. Verse 20, put them in fear, O Lord Yahweh, that the nations may know themselves to be but men. Salah. So the Gentiles, the heathen nations outside of the Hebrew Israelites, are only normal human beings. The Caucasian is a man without hue or melanin. Therefore, he is even lower than the normal humans. He is the base man, and base meaning low. We are the sons of the Most High, put into normal man flesh for training and punishment of our transgressions, and for teaching us the nature of man. Psalms 82:6. I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. So when you go to Hebrew Strong's, Hebrews 4:30, of course, the Jewish term Elohim, but it's really Alahayim, referring to gods in ordinary sense, but specifically used in plural, thus gods of the supreme God. You know, the elect, the angels. Okay? Now, let's see. The best definition of Alahayim are powers. Psalms 82:7. But ye shall die like men and fall like one of the princes. Although we are the sons of the Most High, but we die just like men because we're in this flesh. This is the book of Jude, chapter 1, verse 6. And the angels which kept not their first estate, the angels referring to us, but left their own habitation. And our first estate was being the powers. And we left our own habitations, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness, unto the judgment of the great day. So these chains of darkness chains is defined by the Greek Strong's 1199 as desmos, a band, a ligament or shackle of a prisoner, an impediment or disability, a band, bond, or chain or string. So being in the flesh and ligaments of the body is prison for the sons of the Most High. Genesis 6:2, that the sons of the Most High saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. Okay? So when you go back to Alahayim, it's, let's see, angels, gods, powers. That's Genesis 6:3. And the Lord Yahweh said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There are sons of the power, sons of men, and sons of the wicked. Isaiah 14:20. Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land, and slain thy people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. Now all men had color at first, until Cain, who was wicked, and father of the wicked. His seed was marked different, which would be whitish to reddish skin. So John 8:44, ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. So the Most High calls Cain and his seed devils and liars. He is the deceiver and wants to confuse the truth into his white man fairy tale lies. However, the Most High is bringing the truth through the men of the Lord and exposing him. And the men of the Lord are the prophets, who are out there in the highways and byways getting the word out. You know, trying to draw in the sheep, the lost sheep, the elect. Okay, this truth is not for everybody. It's not for all of Israel, and it's most definitely not for the heathen nations. One of Cain's punishments was to take away his melanin and give the sign and token of leprosy. Even to this day, all nations have varying shades of color. Even Esau, who when mixing with darker nations, some of his offspring come out with a darker complexion. A few good examples are Lenny Kravitz, Karen Parsons, El DeBarge, and Bob Marley. However, the majority of Caucasians are reddish, white, and lack pigmentation. Therefore, Cain and his wicked descendants want to label the real Hebrew Israelites as Jewish and red-skinned, white-skinned, as well to steal the true identity away from the real Hebrew Israelites they have captured and enslaved in hopes to steal back the birthright and rule the earth forever, which is not going to happen. They change words and their meanings like ruddy, white, and many others. They hope we as a whole do not go to the etymology of words and get to the truth. Thank the Most High for showing mercy and grace to reveal to us the secrets and truth and expose his lies. Okay? So remember, going back to It all, the Bible is about, the men. It's not about the women. I mean, the women play an important role, yes, but it's mainly about the men. And men carry the seed of life, which is the sperm. So even if you look like this, like so-called Asian, so-called black, so-called Hispanic, but you may get your mother's features, physical features, but who is your father? If your father is a so-called white man, Esau, Edom, and you look like a so-called black person or Hispanic, Asian, or Arab or whatnot, if your father's seed line, his sperm line goes back to Esau, Edom, I don't care what you look like, you are an Edomite. You just happen to look like one of the other nations. So remember, it's by the seed of your father. This is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. That falling away first is talking about a rebellion. When all hell breaks loose, and that man of sin, the son of perdition, will be revealed. I mean, look at what's going on in the world right now. All that's been going on. Everything that is going on in the world, especially here in America, is contrary to the scriptures, but it's Bible prophecy. This is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4. Who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called the Most High, or that is worshipped, so that he, as the Most High, sitteth in the temple of the power, showing himself that he is the power. Verse 5, remember ye not that when I was with you, I told you these things? Okay, so what nation of people that are so damn prideful that they think they could do it better than Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai? Esau, Edom, the so-called white people. They think their way is the best way. They carry that spirit about them that just screams of pride, arrogance, and wickedness. They just have that about them. I don't care if there was an Edomite that's been good to you all his life, he's been humble and sincere, but he's still of the wicked seed. So eventually, the Lord is going to reveal that to you. He's going to reveal it to you that this person is not your friend. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 6. And now ye know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. Well, yeah, it's the Lord, man. The Lord is in control of everything. Remember, that scripture, I think it's Job. Let me look for it. I think it's the book of Job. Job. Let's find it real quick here. Slovakia here. I think it's Job. Come on. Job chapter 16, verse. Oh man, which one was it? Oh. Or was it 12 and 16? Slovakia, give me a second. Yep, there it is. All right, call hello Yahweh B'Shem Shai. This is Job chapter 12, verse 16. It says, with him is strength and wisdom. The deceived and the deceiver are his. Okay? So, Yahweh B'Shem Shai, this is his story. This is his movie. This is his chessboard, and we're just the pieces. We're just part of the play. Okay? The deceived and deceiver are his. So Esau, Edom's actions, since he is the wicked in the Lord's story here, it's Yahweh B'Shem Shai that's controlling him. He's you see, that's the thing about Esau, Edom. He's so prideful that he thinks that this is all his doing, but no, the Lord, Daniel 4 and 17, roughly paraphrasing, the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and he put whosoever he will, you know. You know, he puts whoever so he will in power and at the bottom. Whoever's going to be at the top, the Lord put him there for a reason. Whoever's going to be at the bottom, the Lord put him there. So, let me read. So Job 12:16, with him is strength and wisdom. The deceived and the deceiver are his. Verse 17, he leadeth counselors away spoiled and maketh the judges fools. Verse 18, he looseth the bond of kings and girdeth their loins with a girdle. Verse 19, he leadeth princes away spoiled and overthroweth the mighty. Verse 20, he removeth away the speech of the trusty and taketh away the understanding of the aged. So, let's see. Verse 21, he poureth contempt upon princes and weakeneth the strength of the mighty. Verse 22, he discovereth deep things out of darkness and bringeth out to light the shadow of death. Verse 23, he increaseth the nations and destroyeth them. He enlargeth the nations and straighteneth them again. So that right there tells you that Yahweh Shem Shai is in control of everything. Okay? The pride of these heathen nations thinking that what they're doing is of their own free will or accord. No, and the scriptures tell you that, you know, I'm roughly paraphrasing, a man deviseth his own way, but the Lord directeth his steps. So you could think whatever you think in here, but really, you know, the Lord may have you do something else. There is no free will. But getting back on verse 24, he taketh away the heart of the chief of the people of the earth and causeth them to wander in a wilderness where there is no way. Basically make them low, bring them low to like a beastly level without knowledge, wisdom, understanding. Verse 25, they grope in the dark without light, he maketh them to stagger like a drunken man. So Yahweh Shem Shai can put you in a position of power, give you all of this, but at the same time he could take it away from you and leave you in a position of complete humiliation and stupor and just bewilderment and without any knowledge or understanding. Getting back to this, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, it's going to be verse 7. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out the way. Verse 8. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, the prophets, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Okay, when Yahweh comes back with the heavenly host, the chariots, and he's going to use the ICBMs, the intercontinental ballistic missiles that these other nations have, and he's going to burn America. Verse 9, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders. Verse 10, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. Okay? So going back to verse 9, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all powers and signs and lying wonders. You know, Esau, Edom's pseudoscience and his technology. Yeah, it all seems neat and all, but is it worth your soul? That's the question. Is it worth your soul to put your trust in the base man when all his when he has nothing but the intentions to destroy and get you out the way so that he could have it all? Like, you know, as I said earlier, this man, you know, the Lord said that, you know, this man is the devil and he's a liar. In verse 10, I'm going to read verse 10 again. And with all deceivableness and of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. Talking about 2/3 of our own people. They would rather trust in this devil than to trust in the word of Yahweh Shem Shai and the people that he chose to get his word out. We're the ones that are actually trying to help them. Esau, Edom is trying to get rid of them. Verse 11, and for this cause the power shall send them strong delusions, that they should believe a lie. Verse 12, that they all might be damned who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. Verse 13, but we are bound to give thanks always to the power for you, brethren, beloved of the Lord, because the power hath from the beginning chosen you to salvation through sanctification of the Spirit and belief of the truth. And Lord willing, that we are chosen, and that we make it on the first go around out of this hellhole. All right, so as the scriptures say, as the scriptures say, 2/3 therein shall be cut off and die. Zechariah 13:8. But 1/3 shall be left therein to be tried in that fire. Okay? So I hope that this lesson was edifying, so that you all know what the word ruddy really means. Okay, it really should mean brownish or fair-skinned, but according to Esau's changing of words, that's why you have to go into the etymology. So King David was, he still had melanin, but he was just, light-skinned, had a very good look about him, and he had a shine to him. All right? I'd like to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahadushai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors and respect to the elders and to the apostles, the great millstone. Peace and blessing to all Akim that are preaching and teaching this word with 100% truth and sincerity. And unto the men, women, and children that are listening and learning. And unto the Ba'ath Adawadah, the elect house of David, that is scattered abroad, I give you my utmost and sincere salutations. See you on the next lesson, Lord willing. Kwam Yasharala, Wa Abababal, Shalawam, Barakatah.